You probably believe your decisions are entirely your own. Your choices, your opinions, your boundaries, they all feel like they originate from you. But often, those decisions are being carefully shaped by outside forces. It happens slowly, and it wears down your autonomy without you even noticing. We tend to think of manipulation as aggressive or forceful. In reality, effective influence rarely relies on hostility. Instead, it exploits our natural, biological desire for social harmony and our instinct to avoid awkwardness. Now, this doesn't mean everyone around you is an evil mastermind. Often the people shaping your behavior are doing it unconsciously. It's a learned survival mechanism. But whether the influence is intentional or accidental, the outcome for you is identical, a measurable loss of control over your own life. To understand how this works, we need to look at how communication actually functions. Human interaction doesn't exist in a binary of good or bad. It operates on a spectrum. This quadrant chart maps the influence spectrum. The vertical axis ranges from highly intentional to completely unconscious behavior. The horizontal axis measures collaborative versus controlling interactions. Our focus is the intersection where behavior becomes inherently controlling. This is the zone of covert control. To regain your autonomy, you have to actively audit your daily communication loops. You have to learn how to separate normal, healthy relationship friction from covert control, and make a habit of asking one specific question: is this actually my choice? The most common tool in the covert control toolkit is social pressure. Humans are biologically wired to fit in. We naturally want to be accepted and avoid conflict, and manipulators weaponize that exact wiring to force compliance. A prime example is the illusion of choice. Someone will present you with two options, say asking if you want to help them with a task right now or later tonight. It sounds like you are making a decision, but both options exclusively serve their agenda. This split-screen flowchart breaks down the mechanics. On the left, a healthy request baseline, a direct request, negotiation, and a mutually agreed outcome. On the right, the manipulative loop, a hidden agenda, the illusion of choice, and a predetermined outcome. Your input never mattered. When you yield to this, your brain gets a false reward. The immediate tension in the room disappears. You avoided a potentially awkward no, and because you picked between two options, you leave with a false sense of agency. But look at the actual trade-off. You are now expending your time and your energy executing someone else's baseline agenda, and you never actually consented to their core request in the first place. Saying yes just to avoid a minor awkward moment today guarantees a much larger systemic loss of your autonomy tomorrow. When politeness fails, the tactics often shift to bypass your logic entirely. Guilt tripping is designed with one specific mechanical purpose: to make you feel completely responsible for the manipulator's emotional state. If you internalize that guilt and change your behavior to appease them, the immediate outcome feels like a relief. The manipulator feels validated, they calm down, and the peace of the relationship is temporarily restored. The cost of that peace is severe. By accepting their guilt trip, you replace your own logical decision-making process with pure emotional reactivity. You act out of obligation, not consent. A more destructive version of this bypass is gaslighting. This is a slow, methodical process where someone repeatedly denies facts to make you question your own memory and perception of reality, entirely to avoid accountability for their actions. Notice how this flowchart contrasts a healthy disagreement with gaslighting. In a healthy dynamic, disagreement leads to reviewing facts and resolution. In the gaslighting loop, their denial leads to invalidating your memory, ending in a total erosion of your reality. Tolerating mild gaslighting just to avoid an argument creates a compounding psychological consequence. Over time, you undergo a gradual, almost imperceptible erosion of self-trust. Surrendering to guilt or gaslighting does one thing. It forces you to transfer control of your actions entirely to the manipulator's emotional state and their preferred narrative. Covert control isn't always negative or combative. Positive connection itself can be weaponized through a tactic called mirroring. Mirroring involves a person artificially copying your traits. They match your vocal tone, adopt your physical body language, and share your specific niche interests. This tactic is incredibly effective because of our biology. Human beings are hardwired to naturally and quickly trust people who feel familiar to us. Familiarity signals safety. In this diagram, you can see how this false alignment works. One distinct identity rapidly alters its geometry and color, shifting to become an exact replica of the target. For the person on the receiving end, the immediate outcome is intoxicating. You feel instant, unearned trust. You feel like you found a rare, deep connection with someone who truly gets you. The hidden danger here is that this artificial bond causes you to completely bypass your normal relationship vetting protocols. You let your guard down weeks or months before you normally would. That artificial familiarity leaves you highly vulnerable. When the manipulator's true controlling baseline behavior eventually emerges, you are already too emotionally invested to see it clearly. The absolute easiest mechanism to control another human being is through their attention, specifically a tactic known as intermittent reinforcement. The psychological effect of hot and cold attention operates exactly like a slot machine. When affection is consistent, your brain feels secure. But when rewards become unpredictable, when they care one day and ignore you the next, it creates a deep anxiety-driven attachment. You stay engaged because you are chasing the next elusive reward. The inverse of this is weaponized silence. This is when someone deliberately withdraws their attention, not because they are busy, but to provoke anxiety and force you to chase their approval. This line chart tracks those patterns of engagement. The flat, steady line represents consistent, healthy emotional engagement. The jagged line maps intermittent reinforcement, wild, unpredictable spikes of attention, followed by deep, sudden drops. When they withdraw and you successfully chase down their attention, your biology works against you. You get a massive, temporary dopamine spike that validates the chase and reinforces the addiction. Tolerating this dynamic means trading your baseline emotional stability for a system where the manipulator holds total, unchecked power over the temperature of the entire relationship. These manipulative tactics share one critical weakness. They only function when they operate in the dark, unnoticed by the target. Pattern recognition is your primary defense. Once tactics like false choices or intermittent reinforcement are mapped logically in your mind, they cease to be emotional triggers. They become recognizable data points. If you are a naturally high empathy person, you are particularly susceptible to this. You must actively learn to separate someone else's emotional reaction from your own personal responsibility. You cannot own their feelings. And if you are naturally conflict avoidant, understand the math. Avoiding a tiny, uncomfortable conflict today guarantees a massive loss of your personal autonomy tomorrow. We can break these loops using a decision-making framework. This decision tree, the autonomy protocol, starts at the exact moment you recognize the trigger. You feel confused, guilty, or pressured. From that starting note, you move to the first branch. Pause and audit the feeling. Then to the second branch. Ask, is this actually my choice? If the answer is no, you move to the final terminal node. Deliver the unjustified no. The unjustified no is exactly what it sounds like. It is the act of delivering a simple, definitive no without offering a single detail of explanation, without any justification, and without an apology. The mechanical outcome of the unjustified no is immediate. It instantly closes the negotiation loop, starves them of the attention they want, and permanently dismantles their leverage over you. Reclaiming your psychological autonomy requires a clear trade-off. You have to willingly embrace short-term social awkwardness and sacrifice perfectly frictionless interactions. In exchange, you get authentic, permanent self-advocacy.